Unveiled, heartwarming story of a grandmother. I discovered my father's hidden truth. And Emma stood frozen in the rain, the droplets cascading off her umbrella as if they were tears from the sky, a fitting backdrop to the heartache that filled her chest. The world felt dimmer since her father's unexpected passing. At 25, life was meant to be vibrant, but here, in her small tight-knit town, she felt like a ghost, floating through 2 grueling jobs just to keep the lights on. Yet, every Saturday, she found solace in her grandmother's warm embrace, the stories shared under quilted blankets pulling her from the shadows. On one particularly rainy afternoon, Emma decided to rummage through her father's attic, a place untouched since he left this world. As she climbed the creaky stairs, each step echoed like a whisper of what once was. Dust floated in the air, catching the golden rays filtered through the small window. Then, her fingers brushed against a dusty box. Its presence felt both foreign and familiar, a time capsule filled with secrets. Inside were letters dated years before she was born, fragments of her father's life that revealed a man she barely recognized. He was involved in a veterans organization, dedicated to helping families through hard times. Emma's heart raced as she read the heartfelt correspondence, each word a brushstroke painting a portrait of her father's sacrifices, the smiles he brought to grieving families amid economic despair. Tears pricked her eyes as she felt the weight of his unrecognized struggles. It stung, realizing how much their tight-knit community hinged on judgmental perspectives, overlooking the inherent heroism in quiet acts of kindness. The town bred whispers that painted her father as a mere construction worker, and yet here was truth that could redefine him. A resolve ignited within Emma. She would honor her father's legacy, even if it meant challenging the town's narrow-minded views. Then came news of a town celebration, an event designed to honor unsung heroes. Emma's pulse quickened. This was it, an opportunity to unveil her father's true character buried beneath layers of critique. Despite her excitement, a wave of anxiety washed over her. Would they even listen? Would they be willing to unlearn their prejudices? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the festival day approached, she felt a storm of emotions brewing inside her: fear, hope, anger, but above all, a deep-seated longing for validation. What if, with her voice trembling, she could rewrite how they saw her father? She practiced her speech in the mirror, heart racing, imagining the townsfolk's reactions. Would they embrace the truth, or would she be met with silence, judgment clinging to their hearts like fog? The festival day dawned, bright yet thick with unshakable anticipation. Emma stood backstage, her grandmother watching proudly from the crowd, a reassuring smile on her weathered face. The stage beckoned as the town buzzed with excitement. The whispers of old grudges fluttered in the air, mingling with tremors of hope. Taking a deep breath, Emma steadied herself. What she didn't know was that unveiling her father's story would unravel more than just her family's past. It would bring shocking truths about their town to light, and as she stepped forward, she prepared herself, not just for her father's truth, but for her own voice at last. Emma stepped onto the stage, the bright lights nearly blinding. The crowd, a sea of familiar faces, murmured amongst themselves, their expressions a mix of curiosity and skepticism. She felt the weight of her father's story pressing down on her, a mixture of pride and nerves filling her chest. In that moment, the world outside faded away. It was just her, the memories of her father, and the trembling truth held within her hands. She glanced at her grandmother, who nodded encouragingly, her eyes sparkling with something that looked a lot like hope. That single spark fanned the flames of Emma's courage. She cleared her throat, the sound barely audible over the rustling leaves overhead. Thank you all for being here today. Her voice quivered slightly, and the silence that followed was both inviting and intimidating. I'm here to talk about my dad. The words hung in the air, and Emma could feel the crowd leaning in, intrigued yet hesitant to let go of preconceived notions. He was a man who wore many hats: a hard worker, a provider, but more than that, he was a hero in our community. A hero who never sought glory. She paused, searching for the right words, for the emotion that would cut through their doubts. He didn't just build houses, he built bridges. When families were struggling, he reached out. When they doubted themselves, he offered support. He was part of a veteran-s organization that transformed lives in ways you can't even imagine. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, and Emma sensed their hearts slowly opening. I found letters where he spoke about hope, about kindness, and helping others find their voice in difficult times. These are the things that made him who he was. A quiet man with a huge heart. She breathed deeply, the memories flooding her. The sound of her father's laughter, the warmth of his embrace, his unwavering belief that small acts of kindness could change the world. But what hurts the most is he didn't get to share that with you all because he was seen as just another worker in this town. A man defined only by his job title. As she spoke, she could see shadows of realization in the faces before her. The skepticism giving way to recognition. But it's never too late to honor the truth. It's never too late to rewrite a story and change how we see each other. My father didn't just build homes, he built a community filled with compassion and resilience. And that legacy, that's what we should remember. The crowd was silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. Emma felt a swell of emotion, tears pooling in her eyes. She had reached them. She had intertwined her father's truth with her own, revealing the beauty of vulnerability and the power of love, but then, a voice cut through the silence, a whisper turned into a shout. And what about the things we don't know? It was a voice she recognized all too well, an old childhood friend who had long harbored misunderstandings about her father. Emma's heart raced. This was the moment of reckoning. Would she be able to face the past, or would it crumble under the weight of this confrontation? The crowd turned sharply towards her, anticipation crackling in the air. She inhaled deeply, ready to respond. What if I told you that's just the beginning? Emma spoke, her voice steady despite the storm brewing inside. This moment could change everything, not only for her family's legacy but for the town itself. With the energy building around her and the potential for transformation palpable, she prepared to unearth more than just her father's legacy. She was about to challenge everyone to confront their own hidden truths, leaving them on the edge of a revelation that might just redefine who they could be together. Emma steadied herself, locking eyes with her old friend, Sarah. The challenge hanging in the air was palpable, and she could hear the whisper of doubt in her own mind. What if they didn't want to hear it? What if Sarah's voice represented all the misconceptions they'd carried about her father? She took another breath, this one deeper, charging her spirit. My father made mistakes, just like everyone else. But those mistakes don't define who he was. They were lessons he learned, and I've come to realize that they were part of something greater, a journey towards understanding and connection. The faces in the audience shifted, some frowning, others nodding as if absorbing her words like parched earth drinking in rain. Emma could feel the tide turning, but doubt still lingered in the corners of her heart, a wisp that tried to suffocate her resolve. What do you mean? Sarah pressed, crossing her arms. What did he do that we don't know about? Emma hesitated, the memories rushing back. He often shared his experiences with me. There were struggles he faced, the weight of decisions that left scars, and moments when he felt he'd failed others. There were nights he sat at the kitchen table, staring into space, grappling with choices that haunted him. But he wanted to be better. She let the words settle, glancing around the audience. Quiet expressions painted confusion and curiosity. I found letters in the attic, letters he never meant for anyone to see. They spoke of pain, guilt, and ultimately, hope. He wrestled with his past and wanted to make amends. He believed that sharing those struggles could help others heal. He didn't want anyone to feel alone in their battles. A ripple of murmurs filled the air again, heavier this time. Emma's heart raced. She could feel Sarah's gaze burning into her, searching for more. It's not enough to just remember him as a good man. We have to embrace the whole truth. The dirty parts and the shining parts, because they all navigate us towards who we can become. My father loved fiercely, and he wanted to show others how to achieve that too. The air was electric with a mixture of emotions. People leaned closer, the vulnerability she shared pulling them in, like moths to a flame. "Your dad hurt people," Sarah finally said, voice low yet pointed. "He didn't always do the right thing. How do we honor him in light of that?" Emma felt the heat rising in her cheeks, but something in her shifted. Instead of shying away, she found strength in that discomfort. By being authentic. By embracing our own flaws while striving for better. It's not about erasing the mistakes but learning from them. This is what can help our community to grow, and it's what I hope we can acknowledge together. She could see a light flicker in several eyes, and hope flourished with each passing second. As uncomfortable as it was to peel back those layers, she began to understand that the truth could bind them closer, chipping away at the barriers of misunderstanding. That a soft voice broke through once more, someone she didn't expect to speak up. "What about our moments?" It was Mr. Jenkins, the man her father had helped with home repairs, echoing past kindnesses. "What do we do with those memories when they contradict the man we thought we knew?" Her heart soared at the connection forming, and she felt courage surge. Embrace both sides. Our memories are not wrong, they're just part of the mosaic. Each of us has a piece of him, a moment that defines our relationship with him. We need to share those stories, too. That's how healing starts. The quiet hum of agreement swept through the crowd, and Emma almost couldn't believe the openness that was unfolding right before her eyes. They were ready to listen, to confront their own truths together. Let us talk, share our stories. Let us unearth the unsaid and redefine his legacy together. Who wants to start? She opened her arms, inviting everyone into that space of honesty, a palpable weight taking flight with each heartbeat. But just as a hush fell, a new voice interrupted, one from the very back of the crowd. "But what about the truth you're holding back?" Emma's breath caught. Who was it? And what truth could alter everything she had just built? With the air thick with curiosity, Emma felt the ground shift beneath her. What new revelation loomed, ready to reshape everything she had just accomplished? Emma turned her head slowly towards the source of the voice, her heart racing. In the dim light of the gathering, she could barely make out the figure of a man, his face slightly obscured by shadows. The uncertainty in the room deepened. She could sense every eye shifting toward this mystery speaker, each gaze lingering with suspense. "Who are you?" Emma asked, trying to keep her voice steady, though it trembled slightly with an undercurrent of apprehension. "I'm Frank." "Frank Miller," he said, his voice stronger now, a hint of remorse lacing each word. "I worked with your father. I knew him before he became the man you remember." Emma's breath quickened. She knew that name. She recognized it as someone who had been part of her father's past. A stir of emotions danced through her veins. "What truth am I holding back?" Frank stepped forward, his expression solemn. "There are pieces of your father's story that he never talked about. Things that might change your view his time before he moved here, the choices he made. Some of those choices hurt other people." The crowd shifted, tension thickening like a storm cloud hanging overhead. Emma's heart sank. She had fought so hard to elevate her father's legacy, yet now it felt as though it were teetering on a precipice. "What do you mean? What choices?" Frank hesitated, looking around at the crowd, gauging their reactions. He had debts, money he borrowed. And when he couldn't pay them back, he made some deals that pushed him into a dark corner. It wasn't just about mistakes. He hurt people in ways that go beyond simple errors. A gasp escaped from the audience. Emma felt a wave of betrayal wash over her, crashing through her resolve. She struggled to find her voice. No, he wouldn't have done that willingly. He tried to do right. Sometimes people think they are helping others, but sometimes they don't see what harm they cause. I know he changed. That's why I'm here. To tell you that even those who stray find paths back. Frank continued, his voice steady and earnest. Your father worked hard for the people in this community, but he harbored burdens deep inside. As those words settled in, Emma could feel her thoughts spiraling. But how could he keep that from me? How could he let me grow up believing he was without fault? You think he wanted you to carry those burdens? Frank replied, now softer. You think he wanted his daughter to know the darkness he tried to escape? He wanted you to believe in the good, Emma. He loved you fiercely, and maybe that's what makes all of this harder. Tears prickled at the corners of Emma's eyes as the weight of this new information sank in. The truth was not just a burden, it became a complex web of consequences and redemption. The faces of loved ones, friends, and neighbors now bore higher stakes, heavier secrets. What did you say earlier? Frank asked, the sincerity in his eyes penetrating through her turmoil. About embracing both sides? Emma swallowed hard, feeling nauseous yet determined. I said we need to embrace both sides, the light and the dark. But how can I do that? How can I honor a man who might have wronged others? By sharing the stories. All of them, Frank urged. By acknowledging the hurt while grasping onto the love, even when it's messy. That's what will matter to those who came to this meeting. She took a deep breath, feeling an inexplicable heaviness off her chest. Maybe this moment was not just a revelation of her father's past, it could be a turning point for everyone in the room to face their truths and their pain together. Okay. Let us talk, let us share those stories, she finally managed to say, a flicker of hope ignited in her heart. She turned back to the crowd, sensing their collective attention, their own stories waiting in the wings, but then, just as she began to breathe again, the voice from the back called out once more. And what about the legacy he left for you, Emma? Have you truly discovered everything about his life, and what he left behind? Her heart plummeted. What lay ahead could be more daunting than she ever imagined. Would she be strong enough to face it? Emma felt a chill creep down her spine as that question hung in the air. The crowd shifted uneasily around her, murmurs rippling through the gathering like waves on a restless sea. Who was this person, and what legacy was they referring to? She felt exposed, a fragile flame flickering at the mercy of the winds of doubt. Please, someone explain, Emma implored, feeling the weight of every pair of eyes boring into her. What does that mean? What did he leave behind? Frank stepped closer, his face softening. What your father built his life here, the community he loved, it was more than just a haven. There were threads woven into that fabric that might not be so pretty. A hush fell over the crowd. Emma's heart pounded in her chest. She tried to remember the stories her father told her, the bedtime tales he spun with love and laughter. Could they really be tainted? His past, Frank continued, his voice now just above a whisper, is tied to more than just debts and choices. There were people involved, people who depended on him, perhaps even made sacrifices for him. Some of them might still be out there, carrying scars left behind by those dark decisions. A knot formed in Emma's throat as she thought of her father's pride, the way he spoke about the good they had done together. She had never questioned him, never doubted his devotion to do right by others. What if what had been built was constructed on a foundation of lies? Is that why the town struggles now? She mused aloud, the realization washing over her like ice-cold water. Because of his past? Frank nodded gravely. This community carries those ghosts. A shadow his choices cast. You have the chance to shine a light on it now, to change the narrative. But you must face it. Emma felt an overwhelming mix of strength and fear. She sensed the room shifting, the energy sparking with potential. It was no longer just her burden to bear, it became theirs, too. We can't hide from it, can we? If we want to heal, we need to be brave enough to look back. The idea gave her a small sense of power, a choice. But fears tangled her thoughts. Would those stories make her father a villain in everyone's eyes? Would the love she had for him be overshadowed by his past misdeeds? Emma, Frank said softly, pulling her from her spiral. Your father loved you fiercely. He wanted to protect you from the darkness he faced. But perhaps there's healing in sharing that darkness, in revealing the truth. It won't erase the pain, but it can pave a path toward understanding. The room sighed collectively, as though a weight lifted just a little. Hope darted through the air, mingling with uncertainty. Emma swiped away her tears, standing a little taller as she met Frank's earnest gaze. "Okay, I'm ready," she said, her voice stronger now. "Let us honor him and talk about everything his good, his bad together. We can do this." Voices began to stir in agreement, a soft chorus of determination rising in unison. But before she could relish that moment of courage, a woman from the back stepped forward, her eyes filled with a haunted glimmer. "What about the letters?" she cried out. "What about the truth he kept hidden in those letters?" Emma's heart raced again, uncertainty flooding her mind. What letters? What truth had her father left behind? The crowd's energy fluctuated, pulses quickening with curiosity and dread. Emma felt her blood run cold. What else could unravel? Would the discoveries become another burden to bear? Standing frozen, she couldn't shake the feeling that beneath the surface of her father's love lay something deep and uncharted. Would she be ready for whatever lay ahead? Emma felt the room close in around her, the air thick with anticipation. Everyone seemed to be waiting with bated breath, their eyes darting from her to the woman who had just spoken. The question left her feeling both exposed and eager. What letters? Letters, she echoed, seeking clarity, her voice barely above a whisper. The woman pushed forward, her hands trembling slightly. Your father wrote them, to people he wronged. I didn't know you didn't know. What do you mean, wronged? Emma's mind raced. She felt an unsettling swirl of emotions, fear, confusion, and a flicker of hope that somehow understanding might bring resolution. He didn't always make the best choices, the woman said. You may have heard stories of his kindness, but not how he created enemies along the way. The murmurs in the crowd intensified. Emma could feel their collective heartbeat, quickening with each revelation. Where are these letters? She pressed, desperation crawling under her skin. The old post office, the woman replied, a sad smile crossing her lips. He asked me to keep them safe, to keep you safe too. He had plans, Emma. Plans to set things right. A tidal wave of emotion crashed over her. Her father had known? Had he tried to change things before leaving her with nothing but questions? She felt both anger and a deep sense of compassion. What's in them? Someone shouted from the back, breaking the fragile quiet that had settled over the group. Emma glanced at Frank, his earnest expression urging her to move forward. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. I need to see them, she said firmly. If there's truth in those letters, I want to understand. Frank stepped closer, his support a comforting presence. Then let us go to the post office, he suggested. We can look at the letters together. Confronting the past might just be the key to moving forward. Nods of agreement filled the crowd, resolve building among them. What initially felt like a burden now morphed into a journey towards redemption, both for Emma and the community tied to her father. With each step towards the old post office, Emma's heart thumped steadily. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the streets, giving her a sense of purpose. Those letters might reveal more than her father's regrets. They could unlock their shared past, a key to broken promises and maybe even a path to healing. As they approached the abandoned building, anticipation swirled with anxiety. Emma reached for the handle, but paused. What if it's all too much? What if he was a monster? Frank placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Your father was human. He made mistakes. But it doesn't mean he didn't love you, Emma. Emma nodded, mustering the courage to turn the handle and push open the door. The stale air rushed out to greet them, thick with memories long forgotten. Could she really handle what was to come? The inside was dimly lit, the walls lined with faded stacks of unsent letters and boxes pushed aside. Where do we even begin? She asked, glancing around the vast emptiness. Frank spotted a dusty wooden table in the corner. There. That looks like a good place to start. As they approached, Emma felt something deep within her stir. What if this journey uncovered not just the truth about her father but also the truth about herself? But before she could take another step, the sound of splintering wood echoed through the post office. Emma recoiled, heart racing. Had her father's past come back to haunt her more than she ever anticipated? Everyone froze, eyes wide with shock. What lay behind that noise? Would the letters reveal their hidden treasures or awaken something darker? Emma took a sharp breath, glancing around the dimly lit room. Her heartbeat echoed in her ears as the crowd held its breath, tension palpable. The splintering sound came again, this time louder, followed by the creak of aging wood. What was that? A voice whispered from the back, thick with trepidation. I don't know, Emma admitted, her voice a fragile wisp. Fear gripped her stomach. What if the truth they were about to uncover was far worse than she imagined? Frank stepped forward, his jaw set in determination. Let us check it out, together, he urged, glancing back at her. His eyes shone with an unwavering belief that this journey would lead to something worthwhile. Tentatively, they moved toward the direction of the sound, each creak of the floorboards eliciting a growing sense of dread within Emma. As they neared a broken window at the back of the post office, she couldn't shake the gnawing feeling that they'd stumbled upon something better left hidden. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows. An old man, stooped and frail, stood before them. His clothes were worn, and he clutched something, an envelope battered and yellowed with age. Emma gasped, a flicker of recognition igniting her mind. Grandpa? She whispered, doubts swirling. She hadn't seen him in years, his absence a painful reminder of her family's fractured ties. The old man squinted through the dim light, confusion mingling with clarity in his eyes. Emma? Is that really you? His voice trembled, hoarse yet full of love. I never thought I'd see you again. What are you doing here? Emma's heart raced, a mix of surprise and unease coursing through her. Did you know about the letters? He nodded slowly, glancing down at the envelope in his hand. I helped your father with them. But he hesitated, weighing his words carefully. They weren't just messages of regret. They were part of a plan, his plan to fix everything. Emma felt her pulse quicken. Fix what? What do you mean? The old man took a step closer, scanning the faces of the crowd who lingered nearby, curiosity etched across their features. There are secrets here that could explain his actions. The letters, they were his way of saying sorry, but they also hold a deeper truth. The air grew heavy with unspoken words, anticipation building around them. Frank placed a gentle hand on Emma's back, a grounding presence as the weight of revelations loomed before her. Emma swallowed hard. What do you mean, deeper truth? If they're about regrets, I can handle that. But there's a part of me, a part that fears there's more to this. Her grandfather's gaze softened. It's not just about your father's misdeeds. It's about love, sacrifice, and the legacy he left behind for you. These letters are not just apologies, they're a map to understanding who you are and what you're capable of. Hope flickered within Emma, battling against her fears. Her chest tightened with anticipation. Could it be true? Was there a chance those letters would reveal something that could finally connect the broken threads of her family? Just then, as her grandfather raised the envelope to hand it to her, a loud crash erupted from outside. Glass shattered, and shouts filled the air. Emma's heart sank. Whatever was coming next, it felt as though fate herself was conspiring against them. What were they about to face? In that moment of chaos, something deep within Emma ignited. Maybe the truth wasn't just about her father or the letters, it might be about seizing her own destiny amidst the turmoil. Determined, she clutched the envelope tightly in her hands. Let us go outside, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. We need to find out what this is all about. We can't turn back now. With that, Emma led the way toward the light, heart pounding with a mix of dread and hope. This journey was far from over, and whatever lay ahead, she was ready to face it head-on. But as they stepped out into the open air, the screams and chaos of the world swirled around them. What had they walked into? Would the discovery of her father's truth empower her or leave her lost in a storm of uncertainty? Emma stepped into the chaos, heart racing as glass crunched underfoot. The scene unfolded like a nightmare before her. People were shouting, running in different directions, and a siren wailed in the distance, as if calling out for help. What happened? Frank asked, pulling her gently to the side as a group of panicked townsfolk rushed past them. I don't know, Emma replied, her voice barely a whisper. She searched for any sign of the conflict, her eyes darting between anxious faces. It was all too overwhelming. But in the midst of the chaos, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was somehow connected to the letters and the secrets her grandfather held. Do you see the old church? Frank suddenly pointed. Let us go there. It might be safer. With determination, Emma nodded, her grip still firm on the envelope in her hand. They moved quickly towards the church, its towering spire a familiar sight in the whirlwind of uncertainty that surrounded them. As they approached, Emma caught sight of her grandfather, standing still in the midst of the commotion, his expression etched with worry. She had to reach him. Grandpa! She shouted, breaking away from Frank and weaving through the crowd. The further she went, the more she felt the weight of the envelope pressing against her. It was a reminder that her own truth was waiting to be uncovered. He turned to her, eyes wide as she reached his side. Emma! You should stay close. I'm fine. Tell me what is going on. Why did you come here? What do you know about all this? He hesitated, glancing around nervously as if weighing the danger of his words. It's about your father, Emma. People are searching for the letters, the ones my family kept for years. They believe they hold power. Power? What do you mean? Emma's mind raced. She'd long been viewed as her family's outcast, but now she felt as though she was on the precipice of something monumental. They think your father hid more than just apologies. There are messages of hope, potential connections to things beyond this town, her grandfather said, urgency lacing his voice. Just then, a loud roar echoed down the street and everyone's heads turned. A black SUV came to a screeching halt a few feet away. The air grew tense as a large figure stepped out. He surveyed the crowd, eyes dark and narrowed. Where is it? He shouted, his voice commanding and harsh. Emma's stomach twisted. What is he talking about? She asked her grandfather, her pulse quickening. Stay hidden, he whispered, pulling her behind a nearby car. Frank crouched beside them, eyes wide with disbelief. Should we run? Frank asked, his breath coming out in quick bursts. No, Emma said firmly, her resolve ticking up, not yet. We need to know what this is about. As the figure began to pace, barking orders at others who were emerging from the SUV, something inside Emma ignited. This chaos was a distraction, a diversion, and she felt responsible to see it through. Let us listen, Emma urged. They pressed themselves against the car, straining to hear. The tension escalated as whispers among the crowd turned into gasps. The other men in the SUV started to fan out, scanning the area. The name Thompson floated through the air, chilling Emma to her core. Her family was somehow at the center of all this, tied to danger and the letters that had been both a burden and beacon her whole life. Is this what my father planned? Emma thought, dread coiling in her stomach. Was he caught up in something far more sinister than she realized? Suddenly, the figure spotted her grandfather. You know where it is. Hand it over. Emma's heart dropped. Her grandfather took a step back, eyes darting between those pursuing him and the crowd, sensing the fear escalating. With her heart in her throat, Emma clutched the envelope tighter. There was no turning back now. Grandpa, we can't let them take it. Before Emma could take another breath, she made a decision. She wouldn't just stand by and watch the past come crashing down around them. She had the envelope, and with it, the promise of answers. But with danger looming larger than ever, would it be enough to protect her family, or would it reveal more than they bargained for? Emma's pulse raced as the man's menacing stare sought her grandfather like a wolf hunting its prey. The townsfolk, frozen in fear, watched as if waiting for a storm to break. Emma needed to think quickly. The envelope felt like a lifeline, but was it also a curse? Stay back, her grandfather warned, a quiet strength underscoring his shaky voice. You don't have to do this. The man's eyes flashed with impatience as he took a step closer. You can't hide it from me. I know you have something important. Frank, Emma whispered urgently. We have to create a distraction somehow. Frank's eyes darted around, searching for anything they could use. Then, without warning, he spotted a group of teenagers tossing rocks at the old church's stained glass. Hey! Over there! He shouted, pointing. Look! Almost everyone turned, hoping for a moment of relief from the tension. Emma and Frank took their chance. They dashed back behind the car, moving swiftly towards a side street where they could regroup. Where are we going? Frank gasped as they reached a narrow alley. To the church. She replied, clutching the envelope against her chest. We need to understand what is happening, and maybe there is something in here that can help. They made their way to the church's back entrance, staying low and quiet. The tall, weathered doors creaked as they pushed inside. The darkness enveloped them, and a wave of calm washed over Emma, contrasting the chaos outside. It felt like stepping into a time capsule filled with whispered secrets. Look, Frank whispered, pointing towards the small altar. Dust motes danced in the faint light, highlighting a tattered old book resting there. Emma approached, curiosity outweighing the fear constricting her heart. As she tilted the book open, a brittle page caught her attention. Handwritten letters scrawled across the paper, echoing her grandfather's words about messages of hope. This might be what they're searching for. Frank leaned closer. Can you read it? Emma squinted, trying to decipher the faded ink. It's in code, but I think it relates to the letters. She hesitated, her heart racing. What if this is how they believed they could control us? What if? Suddenly, a loud crash from outside jolted them from their thoughts, the echoes of shattered glass piercing through the solemn air. In that instant, realization struck her like a bolt of lightning. Those men, they're not only after the letters. They're searching for power. This isn't just about us. It's bigger. She stammered, breathless with understanding. We need a plan, Frank said, urgency filling his voice. What if they find us here? Emma squeezed the envelope tighter. We can't let them. If they discover these letters, if they connect us to the truth, more than just our family is at risk. There's so much we don't know, Frank. She turned to look into his eyes, worry mingling with hope. As they peered through the church's doors, they could see figures moving throughout the street. The tension grew thick in the air. The man from the SUV was getting closer. Emma, Frank said in a low voice, what if they want you? What if they're after you? Her breath caught, and something inside her shifted. This was not only about her father's past. It was about her future. Whatever it takes, Frank, she said, filled with resolve. We will protect each other. I want to let them take us down. Yet as she turned back to the altar, the weight of the world pressed against her, questions lingering unanswered. What exactly lay within the letters? What truth, buried under layers of family history, awaited to be unveiled? Emma glared at the darkness just outside the church, determination bubbling in her chest. The storm was far from over. But deep down, she sensed that discovering the truth might lead to not just revelations, but transformations that could alter their fates forever. And just as the echo of footsteps grew louder, she knew her next move would determine their survival. What she didn't expect, though, was the choice she would need to make, a choice that might unveil not just secrets about her father, but about herself. As the ominous footsteps approached, Emma's heart thundered in her chest. An invisible weight pressed down on her spirit, but underneath that was a fire, a resolve that had ignited within her. Frank, she whispered urgently, we have to do something. We can't hide forever. Frank nodded, eyes wide with determination. You're right. But what? We need a distraction. Just then, Emma's gaze fell on the worn wooden altar. What if we could use the letters? What if there is something in here that could expose their truth too? With a deep breath, she flipped through the coded book, fingers trembling with anticipation. Each page seemed to shimmer with possibilities. Look. Here, there are references to contacts, names of people your father helped. They might have the answers. They might even stand with us against this. Frank leaned in closer, excitement in his eyes. If we can rally support, we could turn this around. It's not just about your father's past. This could help the entire community. The sound of the footsteps grew closer. Emma could feel the tether of fear threatening to pull her back into silence, but it snapped as she thought of her father's legacy and everything they could still uncover together. We can't wait. Let us go to the old Veterans Hall. They might know what to do. They exited the back of the church quietly, glancing around. The street was still chaotic, but there was a solitary path to the Veterans Hall that seemed less affected by the frenzy. With each determined step, Emma felt the tide of resolve rise inside her. Do you think anyone will believe us? Frank asked as they slipped past debris and panicked townsfolk. Maybe they will, but it's not just about belief. We need to show them, to give them a choice, Emma replied, her pulse steadying as her mind raced with strategies. If we expose the truth about my father, about the letters, they might understand why he did what he did. As they rushed to the hall, a voice rang out from behind, halting them in their tracks. Emma. Is that you? Her heart dropped as she turned to see her grandmother running towards them, eyes filled with concern. I was looking for you. What is happening? We need your help, Emma said urgently. There are people looking for my father's letters, and they want to make sure that the truth stays buried. We have to rally the community behind us. The truth is powerful, it can reshape everything. Her grandmother's weary smile broke into something brighter. You've always had your father's spirit. Let us bring everyone together now. They rushed to the Veterans Hall, the doorway now bathed in golden light, a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. Inside, veterans and community members alike sat anxiously discussing the upheaval. Emma stepped in, her heart racing but steady. Everyone. Can I have your attention, please? She called out, voice shaking but determined. The murmur subsided as heads turned her way. I need you all to listen. My father was not just a part of this community, he stood for something much greater. What you thought you knew, it was only part of his story. The crowd exchanged glances, skepticism mingling with curiosity. Emma took a breath. But there is something even bigger happening right now. People are searching for the truth, the letters he left behind. They could unveil our past and show us how connected we truly are. Frank stepped forward, standing firmly beside her. Together, we can face this. We've seen the consequences of silence. It's time for us to band together and fight for our shared future, for the future of this town. Moments passed in silence, uncertainty lingering like a heavy fog. Then, her grandmother spoke, her voice steady and filled with conviction. Your father built this community with love and respect. He wouldn't let fear dictate our choices. It's time to break free from those chains. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Slowly, hands began to raise, voices echoing thoughts of support and solidarity. Emma felt a swell of gratitude. Perhaps they were ready after all. Just then, the door burst open, and the men from the SUV stormed in, eyes blazing with menace. The energy shifted instantly, tension crackling in the air. Where is the girl? The leader growled. We know you're hiding something. Emma stepped forward, heart racing, yet determination settling her nerves. You want the letters? You want to get them through fear. We stand together now. You'll have to face all of us. In that moment, she felt something shift within her, a constant reminder echoing her father's legacy. Those letters were more than just paper, they were freedom, potential, and the chance for community. The crowd rallied behind her, every face echoing her resolve. Frank glanced back, and without another word, they united their strength, standing shoulder to shoulder against the turmoil. Their voices rose, united in a chorus of courage, breaking through the darkness that sought to envelop them. Enough! Emma cried out, her voice weaving through the murmur of determination. Let us show them what we're made of. Let us unearth the truth. As the walls around them pulsed with the collective heartbeat of the townsfolk, Emma felt a radiant warmth envelop her, replacing the earlier chill of fear. This was not just the end, it was a beginning, a transformation that promised to forever rewrite their legacy. In that moment, she knew they would face the storm together. Because in unity, they would uncover the greatest truth of all, that love, in all its messiness, could bind them closer than any secret ever could, and Emma, standing at the heart of it all, drifted on hope, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, as the first light of dawn broke through the clouds outside. Now, dear friends, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and comment your feelings about this heartwarming ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Together, let's spread these messages of courage and love.